Every day we make thousands of decisions. Most are relatively inconsequential. For example, do you want coffee or tea? Others are much more complex, like whether you should accept a new job or move to a different city. These decisions weigh more heavily because they can impact your life in many ways. You might feel like you're bad at making decisions or not good at making good ones. However, it's something we all struggle with due to the way our brains are made. Behind every decision, there are secret psychological factors that shape the way we think and act. Shining a light on these factors can make them easier to overcome. Many missteps in decision-making can be chalked up to cognitive bias. That's our tendency to think a certain way without even realizing it. Here's a simple example. Have you ever avoided switching internet providers even though you were unhappy with your current service? Something called status quo bias might be to blame. That's our tendency to stick with what we know instead of choosing something new and different. We see the alternative as a risk, or just not worth the trouble, even if it might be better. Without realizing it, we can become overly resistant to change. That's status quo bias at work. A bias called anchoring can also affect the choices we make. To understand how anchoring works, imagine you're shopping for a used car. Now, say the dealer offers you a discount to try and sweeten the deal. Sounds like a can't-miss opportunity, right? Not necessarily. Anchoring suggests that we rely too heavily on the first thing we hear, in this case, the initial price of the car. That's what makes the discount so appealing, but it shouldn't be the deciding factor. There are also more objective things to consider, like how much the car is really worth, and whether you can find a better price elsewhere. If you're not careful, the anchoring effect can weigh you down. Cognitive biases aren't the only thing that can affect decision-making. More and more studies show that stress can have an impact, both on the quality of our decisions and our ability to make them. Take this well-known study about jam. At an upscale food market, researchers set up 2 displays offering free samples of jam. One gave customers 6 different flavors to choose from, the other 24. The small display attracted fewer people, but they were 6 times more likely to actually buy a jar of jam. The reason for this is a phenomenon now known as choice overload. Choice overload can happen anytime we feel overwhelmed by the number of options. We have such a hard time comparing them, we're less likely to choose anything at all. A similar thing happens when we're forced to make multiple decisions, one after another, and so on. We experience an effect psychologists call decision fatigue. Decision fatigue suggests that making a large number of decisions over a prolonged period of time can be a significant drain on our willpower. The result? We have a harder time saying no to things like junk food, impulse buys, and other tempting offers. On the flip side, fatigue can also make it harder to say yes, especially to decisions that would upset the status quo. We leave things as they are because it's the easiest thing to do. Making decisions will always be difficult because it takes time and energy to weigh your options. Things like second-guessing and uncertainty are just a part of the process. In many ways, they're a good thing, a sign that you're thinking about your choices instead of just going with the flow. That's the first step to making better, more thoughtful decisions.